All right, good morning. So I wanted to go over kind of a pre-cap, a recap preview of our current campaign in Joth. So this campaign has involved many years as well as many players, but only one GM, Todd McGowan. Many of you know Todd and have played with Todd or have at least seen his artwork and published volumes. He's also going to be, his art is featured in with other artists as well in our upcoming book. Todd has got an amazing world, Joth. And our Joth, I think, is the city. I honestly, I call it Joth. I refer to it as Joth, but I'm assuming the world maybe has another name. I don't know. It's a great question. Anyway, we will be playing session 37 on Wednesday night. So I thought it'd be kind of fun since I've been away so long. I've missed 2 sessions. I thought it would be kind of fun to, in a way, share with those who watch our follow our old school Joth campaigns, to hear Todd's quick recap, basically, of kind of where we're at in the world as we start this next session. And the upcoming session will be session 37. I believe I joined this, but it started months before I joined it. But I believe this is 4 years, 5 years long. This campaign, 4 years long. I don't recall, but Mark's played in it, and Kevin, and I mean, I can't name everybody's played. John's currently playing. David's playing, of course. I'm playing. Dell, of course, is playing. Jory has played. So we've had a few others that have come and gone. Hopefully will one day return, right? That's the great thing about these clubs, these organizations, right? Guys come and go. Justin played quite a few as well. So we've had some really good players. And we use Old School Essentials, which is it's basically Moldvay remastered. And I've said it before, thank God for it, because I think it brings up-to-date D&D Moldvay expert. But it also, because it was a new product, very well written, very well produced, it invited many OSR guys to a strict version, really, of Moldvay. D&D Moldvay, which is that's the edition that I first fell in love with. And of course, Mincer came along pretty quick after Moldvay and somewhat usurped our D&D table as kids. But I always used, for the most part, Moldvay in general. And Mincer is a great addition, by the way. But Moldvay to me is almost for me, Moldvay Basic Expert is a master stroke for the basic version of Dungeons and Dragons. And I don't think it's ever been done better as a basic expert edition. I don't compare it to AD&D, right? But I think it is the master stroke. The Tom Moldvay edited version of Gary Gygax and TSR's version of basic Dungeons and Dragons is I don't think it can be done better. It's just, again, I'm somewhat biased, but even looking at all of the versions and looking at all the stuff that came after and before, it is just, I think, the best written, best produced. And I think the rules were the right balance, right? Okay. Anyway, that's enough of that. But Old School Essentials is what we're using. And it has been for me as a player, it has been the most consistent, and it has been I would say the best experience as a player I've ever had in the long run. I mean, that doesn't mean all of my experiences have been amazing, but this a campaign that's gone this long, I felt like we have been experiencing really old school gaming. Characters unfortunately dying. Some characters, the luck of the draw, surviving, and the rules being used correctly. I would argue 90% of the time. Almost all of Todd's arbitration or having to invent rules and mechanics on the fly for questions and have all been consistent and have been so well done. And of course, the group of people I play with is fantastic. For this kind of thing to work, you have to have players who understand old school, and you have to have players that are okay with it, even if they didn't play it when they were kids. They have to understand it. They have to know the experiences may not be what they're accustomed to, and they're going to have to get used to a particular. And even I have had moments where I was fatigued, right? You get fatigued of character fatigue, right? Where you got so many new characters rolling out that you have some character fatigue, right? But in the long run, I wanted to experience this over a long period of time, over lots of players, lots of characters. And in that sense, I don't think outside of my own sessions that I GM for years and years and years here locally, there is no doubt this is the closest thing to what I was doing for Steve and Robert and Harold and Brian and Katie, and in the long run, using Sword and Wizardry Continual Light, using Sword and Wizardry, and using White Box, and using Basic Fantasy. I just used different OSRs through all of those years, but we used sandbox, open world stuff, and unbelievable. So we used my Island of Soul world, and we used my the Broadlands stuff. So with all of that being said, it is why I play, right? I get to role play, but I also get to enjoy the game, and I get to enjoy the game with just the right amount of interruption, so to speak, right? And for me, this will always be the sweet spot for role playing. I don't mind mechanics, I don't mind rules, but I like the freedom to very easily, very quickly create a character that fits and is mechanically supported and is mechanically relevant to the game we're going to play, the rules that we're using. And on top of that, I'm free to be the character, the personality that suits me as I play. But I'm going to go ahead now and catch us all up, and I'm going to read Todd's Discord. And that's the other thing, for those of you who don't use Facebook or Discord for your campaigns, where you can communicate outside of the sessions, and you can do writes up and share character gen, etc., etc. It's a wonderful thing to add to your groups. One of the things I love about online play is we might meet once a week, we might meet once a month, whatever, but you can continually kind of at any time of the day, night, morning, can keep in touch with your group and keep in touch with your other friends and players, whether you're playing once a month, you're playing once a week, or whatever. Even locally, we don't do that, right? We don't talk every day. We don't touch base every single day, right? Unless you have a local group that you're also communicating with these devices. So Todd uses Discord brilliantly for this epic campaign. Okay, so I'm going to read this. This is session number 37, finds us turning our attention to Blackfish Bay and Bricket Bottom. Blackfish Bay is where we've been the last, I would say the last 4 or 5 sessions. Bricket's Bottom is a halfling village, and Bricket's Bottom is directly east, for the most part, of Blackfish Bay in the northern regions of the world, and far removed from Joth. And you really can't travel easily to Joth without it taking weeks or months, right? So there are portals, and well witches are creatures in this Joth world that are capable of creating wells or portals that can let you travel through this kind of dimension and to other portals. And we escorted a well witch, not all these particular characters, but the group, these players have over the course of time escorted a well witch to Bricket Bottoms, where they are putting in a well that will allow people and travelers to go to and from Joth, the big city of Joth, using this interdimensional portals, right? Okay, so Blackfish Bay doesn't have one, but Bricket Bottoms, which is east a few days from Blackfish Bay, has one, and they're about to have a big ritual, and in a way a celebration to open the well with the well witch in Bricket Bottoms. So it has been a month since the Grudge Guardian on the Tam farm was destroyed by Trotter, Lorien, Bomrick, and Arig. Hootie and the Dwarffish, which is a band, the Dwarffish are the dwarf band, but Hootie is this one of Dell's characters, and I think they started with DCC. So Dell had a very cool character. So when they launched Joth, they were using Dungeon Crawl Classics. And unfortunately, I did not get to participate. So I had no opportunity to enjoy DCC with this group of guys. When I joined, they had already moved on to Old School Essentials. But Dell had a character that had a blowfish, live blowfish, that was an instrument, like almost like a saxophone, like bagpipes. Maybe bagpipes is a better example. So Hootie, my character, rescued from some people who'd stolen him, were using him to provide oxygen for a bell suit dive into the lake looking for something. And my character, being a thief, we rescued Hootie from this situation. and delivered Hootie to a band in Brickett Bottoms to take care of him. And so Hootie and the Dwarffish now are a very, very popular band that travels around doing gigs and are very popular, and they have gone missing. Okay. Someone has pitched a camp near Stony Lonesome. The wax, now wax is mostly we've seen in the region of Joth, very dangerous. This wax is covering the earth, and it is somewhat acidic, and it can, if you stumble into it or fall into it, you can die. So it's very dangerous. So this wax stuff is something you don't want to be around, or you don't want to see cover the world. And it is currently spreading down to the northeast shore of Lake of Talons, which is where so Lake of Talons, Blackfish Bay sits in the south. I think the southwest corner of the Lake of Talons is southwest corner of the Lake of Talons. So now the northeastern side of the Lake of Talons is starting to see some wax. So now this area of the world is starting to see this wax. Okay. It appears to be going around the tower of the hill and stands upon, right? Let's see here. And then he has in parentheses here, this can be seen clearly from Blackfish Bay. Curious locals gather at Bricken Bottom as the well witch Yersis is set to open a portal back to Joth tomorrow night. Business as the Honey Pot Pub has never been better. Father Wilhelm has taken a group to the Longfangs to find the sword of Sir Esbon to use against the Black Dragon, and a ghostly form has been seen, heard moaning along the eastern shore of the lake, dragging its entrails along behind it. So we have a whole lot going on in the area. Father Wilhelm was run out of Blackfish Bay. We tried to bring him back. We stopped the riots. We tried to bring Father back, but he decided to join the Longfangs, which are a mercenary group that hunt beasts. They capture beasts, and they put those beasts in the arenas to supply the combat arenas in places like Joth. Okay, so the father has joined them, and he has clearly hired them or convinced them to go after this sword to deal with this black dragon that has been seen messing around the region as well. So we've got this ghostly thing. We've got this black dragon that's been seen around. Okay. And we have this wax that's encroaching along the northeast. Animals and creatures are moving down from Rumble Down Mountains into the area, making it more dangerous outside of town. So now, because of this wax is pushing animals down, we're going to have a lot more livestock. We're going to have a lot more animals, etc., to be dealing with. So everything's getting more dangerous, right? The campaign world is now stepped up. The tier of difficulty is measured out now and stepped up a notch. So even if it's not difficult as far as the quality of the creatures, they can be HD1 monsters that are wild dogs or whatever. It's going to make it more dangerous, as I'm assuming in travel we may run across stuff a heck of a lot more, right? Anyway, so it's just going to make it more dangerous in that we might not have as easily camped, easy to camp, etc., etc. But the Longfangs are happy with this as they look to capture more creatures for the trial pits of Joth. 4 hooded figures have recently come to Blackfish Bay and sealed themselves up in an old shrine of Asgrim. That I don't know anything about. I don't know if that's happened in another session. The sounds of some sort of construction can be heard within. When they were seen around town getting supplies, Edric, the provisioner, spied scale armor beneath their robes. Okay, so again, my last session was 34. They have had a 35 and a 36 since. We're going to be going into 37. 35 and 36 were kind of escapades by not main characters. But again, the world's timeline and calendar ticks on whether we're playing regularly or not. So there is a calendar that is slowly ticking. I think Todd tears a page out of Gary Gygax's Advanced D&D or Dungeon Master's Guide when Gary talked about every day between sessions is a day in the world or a month in the world. So Gary Gygax would always suggest that you have a world that's time is ticking, whether the players are in session or not. And Todd it seems to advance time to some degree like that. Not all the time. Sometimes we end on a cliffhanger and we have to come right back to the cliffhanger. But for the most part, Todd is just he is a master at this thing. And it's been a pleasure to play with this group and with Todd GMing us. So that kind of brings everyone up to speed before our 37 session. And of course, we'll record the 37 session and it'll go up. And then I'll do I or Dale, or maybe we both will do a recap of session 37. At some point, we're gonna do a Dark Age of Man Chronicles session 2 or 3 on Saturday. That's going to be run by Sam. So I'll be returning as my merchant Janus, with Yami, my bodyguard, and Dale's playing, of course, the monk. And I'm hoping Jory might now be a part of that. I missed a session. The Jory and Dell played a session with Sam running our Dark Age of Man game. So I don't know if we're going to pick up right where we were, or if we're going to pick up kind of as a few weeks later, etc. I don't know. And then at some point, I may run our session number. I can't remember what session we're on for Simmer Room, but it is my turn picking up, as I did a preamble video like this, and then unfortunately with my illness and my medical tests, etc., I had to postpone because my voice was for some reason I have had issues with my voice, which no one seems to have an answer for. So age, I don't know, but there's been days where I literally could barely talk. So anyway, making this video, I hope everybody out there is well. I can't wait to get back to one of my favorite hobbies, tabletop role playing, and this online group is fantastic. I cannot recommend Old School Essentials enough. If you're really interested in playing a remastered version of, I think, the best basic Dungeons and Dragons series of games ever made. If you're not playing Old School Essentials, I would endeavor to find those old basic D&D Moldvay books and find them, get them used, get them on PDF, and try that version of D&D. To me, that is Dungeons and Dragons. And then I think the advanced Dungeons and Dragons, early AD&D, the first AD&D, I think in the second AD&D, those for me always feel like Dungeons and Dragons. They feel like what it was meant to be. And of course, it's evolved and it's changed with the time for good or ill. It's changed for market share. It's changed for trying to introduce it to new people, new players and younger generations. I get it. But for me, that will always be what D&D was meant to be. And even AD&D, certainly the first edition AD&D, I think, for me, those basic expert Moldvay and then AD&D, for me, they are the thing, right? They are what the heart and soul of what I think Guy Gax and crew wanted Dungeons and Dragons to ultimately be. But that's just my opinion. All right, everybody out there, you have a great week.